start. Like this? All right, I invite everybody to focus inward. You feel comfortable to close your eyes. Take a nice breath of air. Take another breath. Feel how we're gathered here to do very sacred work, to represent our community. Feel the land, the Aina under your feet. Feel how the Aina is supporting you. Feel how we're all in this canoe together. Imagine we all have our hands on our paddles and we're paddling in unison. Moving forward. We've come quite a way in a month, in 4 weeks. And we have more to go. Feel the adventure that we're on. You feel the excitement. And you also feel how people in our community are counting on us who cannot be here tonight to help us move forward in this journey. To pull Leilani together in its strength and its beauty and its wisdom so we feel powerful, so we feel compassionate, so we feel understanding. Take another breath. And in the quiet, feel the mystery of what is about to begin. Aloha. Thank you. I've already said a little piece about community. You might have seen it. I sent out on Nextdoor or Leilani Estate, so I'm not going to go through that. But just very, in general, I'm just continue to be impressed how people are stepping up in this community. How they're stepping up for the betterness, the grandeur of this community and what we really want from it and for ourselves. Tonight we have a pretty packed agenda. We have 3 parts. First, Nikki is going to talk about her conversation with a lawyer from Honolulu. And then after that, Andy is going to talk about a letter he wrote that he wants your endorsement of, so we get a seat at the table in the county. And then the third part is the work that's been done on this lava tour proposal for Leilani. Those are 3 parts. After we finish that, I want to leave about 20 minutes for any new business from the floor, for other issues that have not been raised, that you want to see raised going forward. I also we'll just give you a heads up. We are having a grief group that will be meeting this Sunday. It will be at 3 o'clock on Pomakai. I'll post the street address again, so you'll get it, but we will be meeting. We'll have our first meeting Sunday from 3 to 5. Those who want to participate in a small group to share the grief or grieving process you're going through and to get support from one another. Okay, so without further ado, Nikki.
Hi, everybody. I'm not exactly sure how I wound up doing this, except that I thought it needed to be done, and I'm so glad that I'm helping out everyone here and trying to at least get things going as far as what we need to do to protect ourselves and our rights. I went ahead and reached out to a very prominent attorney by the name of Robert H. Thomas. Some of you have probably already heard of him as well. He is an extremely powerful individual, and he can help us. Now, what does he want from us to start with? I asked people for a lot of questions. He's not going to go there right now. What he wants to do is this. He wants commitment from you by signing up on a list that he can scan through and find out if there's any conflict of interest before he makes any statements. What is conflict of interest? Well, it means, are you seeing another attorney for any other issue that might conflict with what he's going to do, okay? Once he has scanned that through, and I've made up some sheets that we can sign our names on. Once he has scanned that through, he has made a commitment to come see us personally here on this island and do a one-on-one with our questions, our answers, and define what we may need to have done. He is not an inexpensive man, but he is doing this particular initial consult free of charge. So we've got a freebie for an evening, and then what he wants to do is spend the evening here on the Big Island and then try to take a look. If he can, and he said, I don't know if I can get in, but he says he wants to look at Leilani with the boots on the ground. So that is his agenda, that is what we need to do, and he will be happy to do that for us. He has a lot of relationships in Honolulu. He knows people. And so when I start with somebody really top-notch and powerful, it's the trickle-down theory. We start up here and work our way down rather than just crawl our way up. So that was the whole idea of this. And he will let us know what he can and can't do, and he will let us know how much it may or may not cost. His initial, if you went into him individually, he's $395 to $450 an hour, okay? Which is pretty okay. But he said if we can pool it together, we can get some flat fee for certain issues. What we need to do is, congeal our issues, pull them together and get some things. Like he said to me, he says, what are your most immediate needs right now? That's what we have to address. We'll go from there. He says, we may be, as a group, as far as his law firm, more of an advisory group to start with. He says litigation may be farther down the road, but he says he can steer us in the right direction. So I think it's a place to start. I've got some sheets here. I'd like to pass them around and see if we can get that going for everyone. Don't have any answers to any questions because he wasn't going to give me any. So I'm so sorry about that because I tried. Yes, Andy?
Nikki, would you explain to everybody what his area of law expertise is?
His area of law expertise is condemnation, eminent domain, land rights, property rights, and individual liberty. Absolutely. So he has all of those things that he works with. Yes?
And just for context, for people who may not know, how did you get to him? What was your process?
Well, my process really was online, believe it or not. I went on and I started looking at condemnation and things like that because we had heard the word condemnation at our Tuesday night meetings. And I thought, oh, wow, this looks interesting. We have people up there. It was a Diane Lay, who is the lady who is the R&D lady, okay? She has on this slide how they're going to restructure Puna and some of the tools. And two of the tools were restructuring the zoning, rezoning is one of them, and the other one was condemnation. It was on a slide of hers, okay? And that's when I kind of did the red flag thing. So, what can I tell you there? So I went online and I came across a coordinated group of people called Owner Council of America. And they are a group of attorneys. I talked with the lady who was, her name is Leslie Field. She is the CEO. She has been a eminent domain and land use attorney for over 30 years in Colorado. She and I spoke for a while, and she was trying to say, ask me, why do you think this may be happening? And I was telling her some of the events that were happening, how we were getting freezed out of meetings, that we didn't know what was going on, and the other issues that are going on in terms of safety and not being able to understand where we may be in this process, and that we did not have a voice. And when I used the word condemnation, she gave me Mr. Thomas's phone number, his private number. As a matter of fact, yeah. It is by invitation only that you are an attorney in this group. There's only one attorney per state, okay? And Mr. Thomas is this attorney for Hawaii. So that's where we are with him. And again, he also is a director of I can't remember the name of the organization, but there is one that is a nonprofit that he also directs that works with these types of issues as well. So we can... we'll get some resources even if he doesn't, click in with us totally. So we're going to keep on going that way. If you guys are interested, we need as many names as possible because I have to fax that back to him so that he can scan them, and then he'll let us know what he would do. But he sounds very interested, and he sounds very personal, and he said, call me Robert, so he's a pretty decent guy. Yes?
Where can we sign up?
I brought the sheets, so they're going to be they're actually going around the room right now as we speak. I've got 2 clipboards going. Yes, ma'am.
When it comes time, when he gets here, I'll volunteer to take him down on the lower end of Milano where all these homes are.
Oh, that would be great. That'd be great.
It's my home, personal home.
Okay, yeah. No, that would be wonderful. Yeah.
When it comes time, when he's here, if it's hopefully before August 22nd, I'm willing, and there's several of us here that live on lower Milano,
Yeah.
that I'd be willing to take him into my actual home.
Okay. Yeah, we live on Malama as well, so yeah, we know in that area. So yeah, the trick will be is to be able to get them signed in and do that. But they definitely want to see what's going on and see the actual physical layout of the area. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And if we can get this going and I can get this back to him, he will let us know when he can get over here. But they are planning on saying, spending the evening and then spending the night over and doing this during the day to take a look at the properties. Okay?
So, Nikki,
Yeah.
there's no obligation for people to come for the initial...
No obligation whatsoever, because what he's basically is trying to get a feel for our mindset. He goes, we'll see how this works out and see what's of interest. So that's really where he's going. There's no obligation to do anything other than to look at him and have him look at us. Okay, and he will answer some questions. He says he will be happy to answer any questions at that time. So.
And then what do you expect to be the next step after that?
Well, then what we have to do is tell him what is our most urgent needs, and I put out a few, and that might not be everything, but I put out a few which Andy is working on right now, and that is transparency in the meetings, understanding what our rights could be eventually, as far as long term, and basically trying to give us the opportunity to secure our homes and be able to maintain our homes and to not have them deteriorate so they become blighted. That's what I told him. I said, those are our main things. I said, like Clegg and I had a nice interview with a lady yesterday, Marissa Yamani, so we're going to be on August 8th. August 8th, we're going to be on August 8th at 9:30 on I think it's Channel 2, hopefully. And basically, we told her yesterday, we want to keep our properties up as best we can until we find out that we cannot, for whatever reason that may be. And so that's what I told her. So we want to work and keep our property going until, the axe falls, if it ever happens.
Can I make a suggestion that some people have already written questions out to you?
Right.
And maybe we could organize them. And
Absolutely.
Then also perhaps get a poll about what are the key issues so people
Right.
have a high,
Exactly.
middle, and low, so we have a sense of the community, what
Right.
the
Exactly.
community
Yeah.
wants.
And yeah, I've kept all of those questions that everybody has posted to me. I've got all those, and yes, we could do that. And then we'll get a consensus of, you know, the numbers that come up at the same time all the time, so.
Could you give that gentleman a mic?
I'm in the mandatory evacuation zone. I just had one thing. I was the CERT team lets me go in periodically, and I went in. I was talking to a fellow, and he's not on the internet. He's actually in the mandatory evacuation zone. He liked the price of what's going on. I didn't have any paper pencil, so I couldn't get his information. Is there a way we could get from the Leilani Council actually addresses or names of the people who are in the mandatory evacuation zone whose houses have not been destroyed? So, Jane, that was a question for you. Sorry.
I missed the total.
Yeah. I was wondering if the people who are in the mandatory evacuation zone whose houses have not been destroyed, is there a way we can get a list of their addresses for a mailing? Okay.
Well,
Guarantee it.
I have a list of people who are part of this group who have signed up, who have indicated they're in mandatory, and I could email them information.
Yeah.
I don't want to release that
No,
publicly.
there's a larger group though. I don't want to miss anyone. That's
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
The other thing is too, is if you know of anyone who is on the mainland because they are displaced and they're living somewhere else, those people are also eligible to be put on this list if they are interested in doing so. So if you know of anyone, please, you know, forward their, get to them and forward whatever information you can to them so that they can be on our list as well.
The reason for we're in the mandatory evacuation zone and we want access again. We want everybody to be part of that process if they want to be.
Thank you very much.
Sign up, guys.
Nikki,
Oh, that?
Yes, sir?
this paper that came around, are you expecting us to give it back to you? What is this one?
Oh, I don't know.
This is a We Are Residents from May 3rd.
That's Andy's. That's Andy's.
Oh, this is Andy's.
That's
Okay,
Andy's,
so
yeah.
this is coming
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Thank you.
Right. So, you're gonna go.
I have 2 clipboards that are going around for
Okay,
signing.
right. So, Andy, you're gonna go next, and you're gonna go up here.
Fine.
Andy?
Oh, there we go.
I have a comment to the last thing you talked about. It's important about residency.
Give her the mic. Yeah. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Lee,
Check.
give her the mic.
Remember, you don't have to worry about
That one.
When I was doing the real estate thing, I was getting information from the property tax people at the county. And so for every property there, they have an address. So, I mean, and you're allowed to go into public data, so you can just go in there and just copy them down.
Hi, everybody. My name is Andy Andrews. My wife Pam and I live on Kahukai Street, just above Miley, where our home is safe and we're living in it. So what I've been trying to put together with a little help from a few friends is a letter that we hope will open the door to our participation in the choices that have been made for us, rather than and start to become a part of those choices. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read it out loud, just because I know you all have it there, but I'm going to read it out loud, and I just kind of... So anyway, we are residents of Leilani Estates. From May 3rd until now, we have been left out of decisions that have profoundly affected our lives. Some of these decisions have very negatively impacted our freedoms, homes, assets, and our community. Going forth, we want to have input in these decisions. We want to work with you, our elected representatives and civil servants, to maintain and rebuild a safe and sustainable community. Transparency of government is an expected right in our democracy. It is our right to be included in your decision processes regarding any proposed law, change, or ruling that has potential to impact our community, homes, and our guaranteed freedoms. We expect to be apprised of, prior to implementation, any action or decision that would affect personal and community security, property values, our right to occupy or gain access to our homes and neighborhood, or any other change concerning Leilani Estates. Further, no regulatory changes specific to our community, except in the case of an extreme emergency, should take effect without our consult and consent. We expect to be invited to attend our government's meetings of any agency that has agenda items or purview regarding Leilani Estates. We will be informed of said meetings, agendas, times, and locations, and as soon as they are known, we will designate Leilani Estate representatives who will be alerted of, and if deemed relevant, attend these meetings, 1 or 2 representatives at each meeting. If we are unable to attend, then we expect the minutes of these meetings to be made available to us immediately and before any consequential decisions are rendered. Together, we can all move forward to safeguard, repair, and restore and renew our Leilani Estates. We look forward to your rapid implementation of these policies. So, this is a draft. Even though I passed it out looking like it's not a draft, it's very much a draft. And it's a draft until you guys tell me it's not a draft. Probably some of you would like this to be stronger. Others of you may be looking at it and saying, well, that's a little tough. I kind of tried to dance on both those lines a little bit to make it so that we were, actually I was instructed by a couple of people to put in a couple more cordial paragraphs. I had it tougher than that. But I think the way it stands now, at least it will present our position. Now, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Putting that aside, if there's such a thing as a snowball's chance in hell of something working, this is less than that. I don't think the county government is going to be receptive to much of any of this, but let's assume they are. Well, that's fabulous. That means that we've got our foot in the door with the county government. If they reject it, I believe we have an equally valuable tool, which is called the media. Because what I tried to stay away from in this letter was any real specifics. I didn't mention those of you who are not able to get into your homes specifically. I didn't mention anything specifically. I was afraid that if we went after that on the first run at it, that it could be picked apart as to why those decisions were made. If we just simply leave it as just wanting to participate, my feeling was that if they give us the right to participate, then we can talk about all of those things. And you guys can decide which of those things are more important than others. If the media were to pick it up because this is absolutely thrown back at us, then we've approached it from just a personal rights and personal property freedom point of view, which maybe I'm kidding myself, but I think the media could have a field day with. So anyway, at this point now, it's completely open to you guys to make suggestions, say that it's good as it stands, or it needs to change, or anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is great. It's a great letter, but the only thing I think we need to do as residents, I went in and I spoke to the county council, and they don't know what's going on. I mean, they're in the dark in our community. They have no idea what's happening. So if we can go in a big group and testify, give our 3 minutes, and tell these people what's going on face to face, not over the TV, go in right into the council and face to face these people and say, this is what's happening in our lives, so that they get a real feeling for it. And then we have this, and this is what we want. We're tired of decisions being made about our lives, and you people don't know the first thing about it. And that's what's going on.
Yeah, this definitely wouldn't subrogate anybody's right to go testify at a council meeting or any other place that you can put yourself as a speaker. This simply says that we don't want you guys to be having any secret meetings or any meetings, period, that concern us that we don't have a representative at. And lots of those meetings are not typically open to the public meetings. The best I can figure it out, they're not secret meetings, they're just not talked about. They just happen, and people don't get invited. My feeling is this now places the expectation on the county, the state, and anybody else involved to proactively invite us to or make us aware of every single one of those meetings.
Yeah, my point is a group is to form the next time they have a council meeting and go in and lay it on. You know, and somebody organize that and get names and go in and just, you know, be nice to them. They don't know what's going on, and they're just as screwed up as we are, but we just want more input, that's all.
Can you organize that, Jeff?
No. My circumstances with my wife and stuff doesn't allow me to do things the way I'd like to. Thank you.
Well,
You guys should probably choose someone.
Hang on a second, leave speaking right now.
So I think Andy is talking about meetings that don't actually include the county council. In fact, the county council has been excluded from it. So I'll just clarify that.
Anybody else have feedback on this letter? Go ahead.
With Harry Kim being down, with heart attack and everything, who's at the helm?
Will Okabe is the acting mayor.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many of these officials who have been who have screwed up our lives are elected? And how many are appointed?
The mayor is elected. The governor is elected.
I'm sorry. The mayor is elected. The governor is elected. The lieutenant governor will be elected. All of our state senators and council people are elected. The federal senators and Congress people are all elected. So yeah. So I mean, but yeah, sure.
Not a lot.
So in other words, Okabe and Magno are the ones who are appointed, and they're the ones who are screwing up our lives. The appointed people.
They're appointed, but they don't really have experience. They don't know how to
Well, okay, but let's. I'm not trying to tamp down your question in any stretch. That is the pecking order that we went for as in a democracy. That there'll be people who are elected who then in turn hire staff that are not elected. Their competency or not is a whole different issue. And but I think more importantly than that, the person that those people report to is ultimately the decision maker. The office of the mayor can very glibly say these decisions are being made by civil defense. In actuality, they're all coming under the purview of the office of the mayor. So, and because the mayor holds the right to fire any of those people, to discharge for cause. He could tonight fire Talmadge Magno. Wouldn't that be wonderful? But anyway, so yeah.
I just like to give a recommendation here. We are not going to solve governmental problems here. We're not going to find the answers for what's gone wrong. We've just had Andy and a group of us have proposed a solution. And I believe what
A first step.
It's a first step. Please keep this in mind. It's the first step. And what Andy is asking for is basically, you know, is this you like this or you don't like this, and what you suggest in its place. But so please, let's keep the conversation on that level.
There was a question over here.
A perfect example of what Andy's trying to say in this letter is all of a sudden we don't have to pay our taxes. That scares me. All of a sudden we get these letters, they're forgiving us for our taxes. We don't have to pay our property taxes. I mean, I'd rather, to me, that is like, I want to know why they came up with that decision. Because I'd rather pay my property taxes and know I'm still responsible for my property than all of a sudden say, well, you're not paying your property taxes. So
well, that's another.
I think it's a perfect example of what they decided to do that.
We can't be part of the club if we're not at the club meetings, and that's really all this boils down to at this point. So, with that said, the other thing is that when I did the get the curfew off process, what carried the most weight on that was the fact that there were 84, I don't remember, signatures of Leilani residents. So it wasn't Andy going in and talking to them, it was all of you going in and talking to them. I'd like to see on this letter, if we're going to submit it, there being several hundred signatures on it. So part of our task would be to network out to people who aren't here tonight and ask them if they'd like to sign this letter. Okay, go ahead, Bo.
I just want to say, let's just look around and vote. I mean, I think it's a good letter. Let's
Okay.
find out
Oh,
what
yeah.
people approve.
Yeah, okay, so let's just take a show of hands. Is the letter good as written? Okay, that's even in a democracy, that was a good one. So,
I read it, and it says it's in the case of an extreme emergency. Well, they already believe that this whole situation is an extreme emergency.
That's correct.
So,
yeah.
would they be qualified to rob an inundation, et cetera, et cetera?
Good point. What if I came up with some phrase that has had something to do with, I'll copy it from some insurance policy, but it'll say something about, imminent danger to life or something like that. Just make it a stronger exclusionary clause. Yeah. Okay. Good idea. Yeah. And back there.
Yeah, just the state statute actually has wording, actually what they call the emergency.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, Andy, I think the first question they're going to say is, who is this?
Right.
And we really don't have, or I haven't seen, what is our name? It's not the Leilani Community Association that some of our government officials think we are.
And that's the reason I opened with that very first sentence. It just simply says, we are residents of Leilani Estates. It doesn't give us any organization or even a de facto organization. Just the only bond that would tie us all together would just be we are residents of Leilani Estates.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't mean to cut.
No, I agree, but sooner or later, we're gonna.
Yeah. Sooner or later, we're going to have to be called something.
Why don't we wait until we can call ourselves the winners? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to change that one clause about making emergency more specific to life and limb, and then what I'm going to do is on both the Nextdoor site and the Leilani Avonda site, I call it. I'll go ahead and post this as a PDF. It doesn't matter if there's only one signature per page or 2 or 3 or 4. In fact, it looks kind of dramatic if it's got about 50 pages stacked up. But what we want to do is get as many signatures as possible. It would be best to get as many wet signatures as possible from those of us who are still here and able to sign it. They seem to carry more weight than just an electronic signature. But then obviously we'll reach out to people who have left or in the mainland or wherever and get electronic signatures. There's a few more comments.
Who are we sending this to?
Thank you. Okay, so what I did with the curfew was I hand delivered it. I physically put it in the hand of 23 people.
Who is that?
Governor Ige, General Iga, Chief Ferreira of the Hilo Police Department, Captain Jelsma of the Pahoa Police Department, Eileen O'Farrell, Joyce San Benaventura, Russell Ruderman,
legislators and like government officials.
Basically, I took kind of a throwing mud at the wall tactic with who I gave it to. I erred on the side of too many people, and what I found was 5 or 6 of them were actually pretty darn competent at their jobs.
And are we targeting any specific meetings?
All meetings that are going to discuss Leilani Estates.
Who's having meetings discussing Leilani Estates?
Civil defense on a regular basis.
Okay, so
and
where
others.
and when do they have these? Do they?
That's what we don't know.
It's just ad hoc. Do we have a contact with civil defense besides Talmadge?
Well, that's what this opens to open up.
Okay.
The very questions you're asking is what we hope to.
So maybe you
peek
could
through the door.
organize a list of these people that we're contacting and and send it to us?
Yeah,
That would be really good.
Oh, you mean about the meetings?
Well, who you are targeting, who you think is having meetings that.
Okay,
we
I'll
need
do
to be
that.
aware of.
I'll just copy the same list I took off the curfew thing,
Yeah,
and I'll
and if you could
post that.
add people who you know are having meetings and names of those people who are organizing those meetings, then we can contact them and see when the meetings are. And we can show
Well,
up.
but the idea is that what we want to do is give them a single point contact.
Well,
So-
right, but we need to know who's having meetings. I mean, it's kind of amorphous. Is it civil defense? Is it police? Is it government?
Yeah, without going into it too deeply, there's already a few moles in place.
Okay.
I'm probably not
Well, I'm
supposed to
sure
say
they
that.
don't mind.
Strike that.
I'm sure they don't mind telling us where the meetings are. We just need to know when they are so we can show up.
No, I think you'd be surprised
Oh, really?
that they don't, yeah.
Okay, so if we can find out when they are and where they are, we can be there.
Anybody else have last things? Yeah.
Andy, you do a wonderful job for us, and I'd like to make a suggestion. You have close to 80 people in this room, and we each have a letter of intent. I suggest that we arm Andy tonight and sign this thing and hand him wet signatures.
Yeah, when's the next meeting of this group?
Next Thursday.
Well, and so we could do it next Thursday too. I can make a change and do it, and do it for next Thursday if I am going to make. Problem is, if I make a change, we can't have two letters with slightly different verbiage.
If you
in
make
it.
a change, we just throw these away.
Well, exactly correct. Yes, if I'm going to make a change, these letters shouldn't be used by other than to take them home and. Yeah, go ahead, Lee.
So if you send out a PDF to the people who can handle something like that,
right.
Besides signing them ourselves, I can see going around the neighborhood
Right.
to people who aren't here.
That's what I was hoping for.
People we know, and asking them to sign.
Yeah, remember, even though we're 80 people tonight, the best guess is there might be as many as 200 to 300 living in Leilani, 200 to 300 households living in Leilani again.
So we're all meeting Saturday again at the board meeting for Section 2.
Well, no, the Section 1 people won't be.
I know, the Section 1 won't, but I'm saying we can get a lot of signatures on Saturday.
Well, I personally think we should keep this and board meetings, but that would be up to the board. Okay, we need to wrap this up.
Right.
Okay.
She doesn't always, she said, I'd be willing to go door to door
Yeah.
with the new letter, and so would Sally.
Yeah.
Because there's people that we know aren't in this meeting.
Right.
I'd be willing if several of us go door to door.
Sure.
And to go to our neighbors that we know aren't here and have them, and explain it and have them sign.
It's still fun to ride bikes in Leilani. You know,
It's more fun.
yeah.
Less cars.
Yeah, there's no cars, right? Okay, man, this is open.
All right, just two more questions because we do need to move on.
Well, let's not do that, but let's make it really fast, really fast. Go ahead.
Okay,
Go
hi
ahead.
guys, my name's Kalia. I've been in Leilani for 38 years. And I love Leilani, and I'm not going to let them take Leilani. I do know that Governor Ige has a very strong idea that geothermal is the answer to Hawaii's energy thing. So they could easily decide to take us and go all geothermal. Hopefully Pele will have another thing. But I just want to say one thing. I will go door to door, no problem. I will totally help with that.
Right.
And I really think we have to be together on this. It's really important.
Yeah, let's stay on
I've talked to
just
Governor
on the
Ige
letter.
personally.
Yeah.
And wait, it is also voting time, so if we can get this letter out, we can call all the people that are running and ask them how they feel about it.
Oh, they'll have it long before that. Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, can you get that PDF to us before next Thursday?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
So that
tomorrow.
we can take
Tomorrow.
around the neighborhood and
Tomorrow.
start,
Yeah, and maybe tonight if I drink a cup of coffee when I get home. Yeah.
Phrasing of it, what you're going to change it to.
Oh, I'm just going to change that one thing. Just that one thing about, I don't know. Yes. I'll change it to something that makes it that unless somebody's actually bleeding in the street, they have to tell us about it. Oh, it's just that clause about except in case of extreme emergency. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's just give an acclamation to Andy that he's scans the stuff that we've signed, and you concatenate the PDF, so now you've got the whole thing done.
You know what? It looks really good to see people's signatures with blue pens and black pens. For some reason, it carries more weight. Certainly we could do that.
Scan it in color.
Yeah, I don't have a color printer. Go ahead.
Okay,
Sitting down.
I'm looking at the word implementation of policies. If we're going to be approaching...
Put it closer to your mouth.
Okay. If we're going to be approaching as representing ourselves in these meetings, and we go into the word policies, does that mean that would that possibly wind up a conflict of interest and shoot ourselves in the foot with this attorney?
No.
No?
We're just acting as individuals. Yeah. Puna hat. Yeah.
My heart goes out in compassion and peace for those of you who have lost your homes, for those of you who are in the mandatory evacuation areas, for those of you who are in the voluntary evacuation areas. My heart goes out to you, and as this work continues, and it will continue, and we want to be sure, and I know that's why I'm in Leilani. My home is on Pomaikai. It's 2 driveways from the barrier, and people like to come to my property without permission, and although I have put the signs up. So how do we protect the people who come in there, who go beyond what their intent is?
It's a fabulous question, but not this agenda item right now. But save it for later in the meeting when we're going to have open discussion. Perfect question, though.
To be continued.
Yeah.
Way in the back.
I was wondering if it would be beneficial to put in there that we'd like to see our county council at the meetings. Would that be beneficial in our letter, or could they just shut us out being too vague in that?
I think that should be separate. I think that should be left as a separate item because I want this letter to be able to go into any government or public official without any others being mentioned, if that's okay with you. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Thank you, guys.
So let's give Andy a big... Okay. Mike is up next. Mike, are you here?
I'm here. Sorry.
Yeah.
Are you going up front?
No.
Oh, okay.
I suggest, why don't you just stand up and just sort of shake your... Just stand up. Come on. Shake your shoulders. That's
Perhaps I'm the only one that doesn't have printing capability from a PDF, and that's what I'm trying to work out to get a printed copy, but maybe I'm the only one in that boat. I got a note from Tommy Stark the other day talking about wanting to be able to get into his house behind the barricades without having to ask permission. And he said there's a clause that's in the order, the original order, the May 29th order, that says persons remaining in the mandatory evacuation, you know this language, I'm sure, beyond the effective date and time to do so at their own risk with the knowledge that the emergency responders may not respond. Further, it says persons in violation are subject to arrest and liability. So what Tommy said is, that sounds like a little get out of jail clause, that if those of us who are behind the barricades would like to ease the liability of civil defense and the mayor, maybe a liability page, which we sign that says, I accept this liability. And so I just put some language together. If you are one of those people and you would like to see this, they don't all have to be exactly the same, but they could be your statement and maybe even get it notarized if that is appropriate, and hand it in to whom? To the mayor, I guess, at a Tuesday meeting or something like that. Anyway, this is nothing official for a group to have to do, but it was his idea. He says, I just want to get home. I want to live in my home. And many of the homes behind the barricades are habitable. Now, I think there may be an issue with getting electricity on, but maybe you're off the grid, and I don't know those circumstances. But he simply said, what about this? So I said, okay, I'll put it together, and I'll offer it to anybody who might be in that circumstance. And thank you, Robert, for getting the copies, because I don't have printing capability. I'm couch surfing, and my printer doesn't recognize all, you know, the stories. So there were some hands.
I heard, now I don't know, but the people in Kapoho actually had a paper like that the government issued them that let them sign off living down there. Now I don't know if that's absolute fact or not, but I heard it from 2 or 3 different sources. I haven't seen the paper, so it might already exist. I don't know for sure.
It may. The other idea that came up is perhaps if we engage an attorney, then to have this done on attorney letterhead might carry more weight. But heck, if there's a government form that they, you know, that may work out. I don't know that I have any inroads, but I mean, I can ask. I don't know. Maybe I'll stand up at a Tuesday meeting if that gets any traction.
I just saw Eileen O'Hara. She's supporting this measure, and
yes.
she will work with you.
Tommy was in touch with her, and she said she's happy to take this into a council, you know, pass the word along. So I don't know if that means wet signature and she'd hand them, or if verbally she'd like to do that. But maybe if you're in touch with her, maybe all of us go in there and say, here, this is what I want to do. And then she can represent us, which is her job, I think. There was some others.
Hey, I live behind that yellow tape, yeah? I don't want to sign any paper that says that I acknowledge that I could be arrested for being there.
Okay.
At all.
Okay.
I don't want to sign an acknowledgement that says I may be subject to arrest. And another thing, right, about the taxes and relieving the tax burden at the moment.
Yeah.
Whoever pays a tax note has rights to the property, yeah?
Yeah.
So if you don't have no tax note on that property, you don't have anything. Death and taxes is what this country was founded on, yeah?
Right.
If you don't have your tax note and your receipt, you don't have anything.
Well, sorry, that was Ben Franklin who's a death and
I'm
taxes.
just saying, yeah, I'm just saying
The only
that,
permanent things.
that when they're telling you straight out, oh, you don't have to pay taxes, that's like saying, well, you don't have anything.
Right.
Unless you gotta give me a receipt that says paid in full, and it's 000, but it's paid in full, and that's my receipt, then you don't have anything.
Yeah,
so I want to pay my taxes.
Right.
And the other thing is I never ever want to sign that I'm acknowledging that I may be subject to arrest.
And that's fine. You don't need to sign this. This is not intended as a group thing. It was suggested as an individual thing for folks. And just on that note, I don't know if you've checked Zillow or Realtor.com for the value of your property, but it has been much lower. I know what's listed on Zillow is not the purchase price I made only 8 months ago. And I know that the value of my property on Realtax is set to 0. And so those that are checking into the condemnation thing, that may be a precursor. I don't know. I'm not an attorney, but I want to find out about it.
Just one comment. I know my insurance company has only asked for one piece of paper, and that's the one that says I'm no longer allowed into that area behind the barrier. By forcing the issue and allowing, you know, people to go in there, is that going to have an impact in reference to some of us dealing with insurance?
I don't know. That's a worthwhile question. Yeah.
I was reading my insurance policy and I called them up so I could get definitions. Thinking about this, condemnation and eminent domain. And in my particular policy, it mentions something like law. Anything where the law tells you have to leave it or whatever, too bad it's not worth anything. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. But that's, so it could impact your insurance as well, the fact that you don't pay any property taxes.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I've helped take this beyond what the point of this was, which was the idea on liability and that. So I think that's another agenda item is the insurance.
I do want to stress what Andy said. This is an individual decision to do. Sorry, Mike said that this is an individual decision. I don't believe it's going to impact any policy that the county has, you know, in terms of, it's still going to be mandatory evacuation, but people are taking a particular action vis-a-vis this mandatory. So I don't see it impacting it. That's my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
All right, so anything that question germane to this particular letter, and does anybody want a copy of this letter now? Can you raise your hand? I'll pass them.
We can certainly leave them up here, or we can, you know, or hand them around. That's fine. Thank you for making the copies too. Nothing magical in the language.
What would happen to the barricade if they let a few of us go in? Would the barricades go back?
The question is what would happen to the barricade, and I can't imagine they'd pull the barricade if 6 people said, I accept this liability and I want to go. Now if I were king, I would say, then that means you can go freely in and out. But I'm not king, so, you know, Talmadge is king. No, Harry's king, I don't know. Sorry, I know this is streaming, I apologize. There were some other hands? Any?
So Andy, he wants to know, what do you sign this? What does it do next? What do you want me to do?
The question is, if you sign this, what do you do next? I would guess it would be get a copy to Eileen, or walk it to Civil Defense. I mean, it would be one of these to present and to say, this is my acceptance of, I understand that clause, and I'm putting it in writing that I understand that, and fine.
You have to be notarized, I think.
Perhaps your signature has to be notarized. I don't know. This is way over my head. I'm just kind of forwarding this from somebody.
I noticed the date on this was the first order, the 29th.
29th. The first order was May 3rd from the governor.
Right.
This one was the very first.
From the mayor was the first order. Then there's the supplementary order that came out after this, that I think was dated the 2nd of July.
That was the tax order.
He bumped it out another 60 days.
He may have bumped this out. I remember reading the July 2nd one, and it said all the laws that it referenced were the tax laws. And I believe that happened then because taxes were due July 1st for the second half of the year. And so what that did was waive all of our taxes. I could be wrong, but that's how I read that one. This one, they have 60 days on each order, and then it needs to be renewed. So this May 29th would be up July 29th.
It's been just renewed since the last.
So that's it. So it's been renewed. I wouldn't doubt that's fine. You know, well, that's not fine, but that's what government does, is make sure its orders stay in place.
Let's thank
Michael.
Take a breath. Okay, now I'm going to ask Mac to stand. Yes, right.
Mac?
Find you attractive, Matt.
Hi, my name's Mac Edwards. I'm a resident of Leilani Estates. I'm in the mandatory evacuation zone. However, there is no way to access my property unless you hike for 45 minutes around some craters at the bottom. So I do feel a little bit left out. I have some papers here. Steve Sparks has some that can be passed out. This is a preliminary proposal, and by preliminary I mean extremely preliminary. The county asked for proposals about lava viewing. We thought that it'd be better to at least do something than nothing. I don't know about you, but Leilani's my home, and I want to keep it that way. And I feel like if we don't do something, somebody's going to do it for us. Recently, it's come to my attention, somehow it dawned on me that if and when this stops, the government's not going to be there to protect us. And people are going to want to see what happened. This preliminary proposal is preliminary because we need your input. We need to know whether you want it, whether you don't. Obviously, if we decided we wanted it, we still have to respect the local Hawaiian community and have their blessing as well. So nothing's set in stone here, but this is just an idea. So, you know, if you can just accept that the intention behind this is to benefit the residents of Leilani, the local Hawaiian community, the city of Pahoa, our home. That's it. That's all we want to do. I can go ahead and read this. Obviously, I can't read with my glasses, pretty small, but this is a preliminary proposal for Leilani Estates private roads viewing area. As one of those seriously affected by this flow, I can attest to the therapeutic value of viewing the lava. I also want to emphasize that the benefits of a lava viewing area will have a positive economic impact on our community derived from the generated proceeds. It is known that poverty and crime go hand in hand, and our community becomes much safer with more economic growth. I want to see our community rise from the ashes and thrive. That's Michael Hale. It was ultimately, I believe, his idea to do something, and I believe in it as well. We, the owner, residents of Leilani Estates private roads, intend to create a lava viewing area in our private community. We desire having access into the barricaded areas of Leilani located on our private streets. We would be satisfied having a key or given access through the gates within the barricaded area. We aim to subcontract currently licensed and insured tour operators to bring viewers into Leilani Estates to safely view the lava. Furthermore, the funds generated from such tours will go towards Leilani residents, victim of lava, and operations. The tour procedures and guidelines, tour guests will attend a safety, educational, and cultural briefing in Pahoa Town. Passenger tour vans will be used that are easy to turn around on the small streets of Leilani. Tour company vans will either pick up passengers in Pahoa Town or stop in Pahoa Town for at least an hour. While tourists are waiting for their training, they can visit Pahoa Town and meet with the local vendors prior to attending their mandatory training on science, safety, education, and culture. All tours will be subject to current weather and volcanic conditions. All tour operators and guides will carry SO2 monitors. We also propose that weather and multiple SO2 monitoring stations as well as a webcam be placed within Leilani Estates. The readings from these monitor stations and webcams should be accessible through the web by tour operators. All potential perils from the lobby viewing operations will be mitigated through our designated viewing area protocol requirements, followed by tour operators. The solution to risks and perils. We propose having multiple choices of viewing areas. Tour guides will monitor current volcanic activity and gas levels generated on an hourly basis. Guides will also provide gas masks and other protective gear for guests during tours. Tour operators will provide safety training to all guests. Our goal is the same as the county, 0 injuries. Risks will further be mitigated by requiring tour operators to carry liability insurance policies along with signed disclosures and release of liability by all guests. Our LLC will also carry liability policy as well. Evacuation procedures will be established and properly explained before any viewing takes place. Mitigating traffic. Tours may be canceled altogether on some days in relation to volcanic activity. Other days will require having windows up or not even exiting the vehicle. All guests will be escorted by tour leaders and guides in and out of vans. The number of vans allowed in Leilani Estates will be up to 5 vans per hour for a maximum of 10 hours per day. The consensus. All Leilani private estate road owners will be allowed to opt into members of the LLC. Because all of the members are residents, all of the concerns of owners will be considered and solutions will be found through processes. 3. This is a for-profit company, but profits will be distributed as 1/3 grants to all lava victims, 1/3 to Leilani residents / shareholders that have opted into the LLC, and 1/3 for operations of the LLC. We understand that this will entail and are ready to move forward ASAP. Future plans would include a safety emergency community shelter, permanent SO2 monitors around the viewing area. Viewing areas currently will be on streets, not on lava. Also suggested to form a nonprofit instead of an LLC or a C Corp. Apparently that takes time. Since Leilani Avenue is not a thoroughfare anymore, we would be happy to relieve the county of the burden of maintenance of Leilani Boulevard, cessation of the Leilani Road. This will help bring back tourism and tax dollars. And Steve Sparks has some maps. This is also online. So
Yeah, I handed out some 10 of those things that maps on the back of them. It just shows the different tools.
Hi, I handed out 10 of those things to that had maps on them. That's all I could print. Ran out of ink, you know. Yeah, that's what we're thinking about doing. If you have any questions, feel free. There are probably lots of questions.
I will never back something like this.
That's fine.
Never.
Hi guys, so I've been a tour guide in Hawaii for 30 years, and right now I feel like Leilani is overwhelmed with the helicopters and all that. You know, tour guiding is really, you have to be careful because you want to tread lightly. And I feel like the best place, and I'm sorry, I know it would be beneficial for Leilani probably to get a little bit of the money and the action in it, but I feel like the best place is the Y down towards Navale. I feel like that's the best place, it's the safest place. And it's kind of just be the best place, and I'm sorry, that's why I feel I've been tour guide here for a long time.
So plus, to do something like this, you'll have to get a change in the CCRs.
Yeah.
There'll have to be a 2/3 majority to get the change. I will not be part of seeing a change like this happen. That you can be sure. I will not have my home turned into a free-range circus.
It's bad enough having the helicopters spinning around.
That's right.
Tour buses come.
That's bad enough.
Screw it. I ain't any part of it.
I just got a question. How many of the people here are in favor of it at all?
In favor?
In favor of it. Yeah. Are in favor. I'm in favor of it. I mean, if you're not, I heard your reasons why. But
And I'm completely in favor of people seeing the lava. I feel like it's so important to see the lava right now, but not there.
But not there. But so none of the proceeds help Leilani Estates at all.
And then maybe, I don't know.
It leaves Leilani out.
When I heard about them discussing having a view, having viewing of the lava, I had a totally different idea. I thought they were going to put like permanent places where people could come and stand up and look, and then there wouldn't be any vehicles going in and out. So I know that's not this, but I'm bringing up an alternative for those of you who are saying, I don't want the things running around my Leilani, but maybe we should still consider finding, and those places could move, because I mean the lava's going to change and whatever, but you would have a permanent place that a vehicle would come to, people would look, and you charge them a certain amount for going up and do all the safety things.
Yeah, that was the thought process. We were trying to start something to gain control of our neighborhood. Because people are going to do this. And if you don't, well, as soon as they open up, they're doing it already. I live in Leilani. I've seen 4 tour buses going through. I don't know how they got out past the barricade. They obviously got some kind of placard to do this. It's going to be happening anyway. I live on Malama Street. There are 8 or 10, 12 people walking down Malama Street every night through the barrier.
You think this will stop that?
Well, I think we could by putting up a gate there, putting up a permanent gate. If we, and a guard, right? But without funds, we can't afford to do that as a community, right? And that is in section 1, and so we couldn't. So Leilani Community Association, wouldn't do that. if we wanted to group it together in section 1 and do that, that'd be fine.
The
But
question was asked, how many people are in favor of it, but maybe people are neutral. Why don't you find out how many people are opposed to it?
how many people are opposed to this situation? Yeah, far greater number, which is what it was expected. We're just trying to get something
Talking
started.
about putting a gate up. Where are you talking about putting that gate up?
We're jumping the.
Where the barrier is now, you know the barrier?
The whole top end of the whole subdivision open.
You want the subdivision open?
You'd like to get at the top of Leilani?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
No, I'm talking about the top
you're
of,
gonna put a gate.
I'm talking about Malama,
On,
where they have those plastic
you
barriers now.
cannot put a gate on Leilani Avenue or whatever the hell.
Malama Street.
Does anybody realize that tourism is what drives this island state? You think you're going to stop tourism? I think you're all dreaming. If we want to take control of this, we better do it now, because we're not going to have the rights. They'll take it away from us.
I'm not against tourism. I'm against turning my home into a tourist trap.
Right. I'm against that too. It's a matter of, that's why we would have routes that.
And what, 20 of these buses a day running around the subdivision?
Oh, at least.
At least, yeah. No,
Not on private streets, and I don't know why this was worded this way, but it should only be down on Leilani Avenue. That's only one spot.
That's county road.
Yeah, it's a county road.
And that's the county asking for something like that. They asked for it.
But they should not be on the private road.
That man back there wants to talk.
You know, it's kind of funny. If you have a residence and you want to turn it into something commercial, then change everything and make it commercial. If you want a residence and you want to keep it a home, then keep it a home. When I took the press, the New York Times and the Sky News to over there, Hawaiians at the hub offered me cracks physically, threatened me for taking reporters to the lava. There's a cultural thing here, and there's also a home thing here. When you buy a home or 2 or 3 and you rent it by the night or the weekend to people who don't live here, you know what happens? People like me who are single parents, who are raising their families here, who are born and raised here, can't afford to live here. And when people are like, hey, you know, I need to make a living, well, maybe you should have thought of that in another way. If you want to be a commercial operator, then be a commercial operator. If you want to be a resident, then be a resident in a residential area. If you want to mix the two, and play kind of like down the line and pirate it until you can't anymore, and then say, well, I need some money out of it, give me some money. Well, then I want a commercial venture I want to make a restaurant at my house. I want to serve people, I want to charge like $200 a night, people could come see the glow, and I don't want to really share it with anybody. Is that a problem for anyone? Right, if I just invite whoever, would that be a problem, right? But you see, I don't do it out of respect for my neighbors. I don't do it out of respect for the people who live here or trying to make a regular living and don't want to see themselves squeezed out. And I think it's like insulting to the people, like to me especially, who I live here. I don't have electric, I don't have running water. People are donating for the people of Leilani. I didn't get a nickel. I'm still working every day. I still got to pay out of pocket for everything. And I haven't seen nothing. No, wait. No, wait, man. I have my minute. So when people say I want to make commercial stuff, Rob, I'm talking here. So when people say I want to make something commercial out of something residential, well then I want my cut, right? It's like
that's what this is about.
But it's like, but then again, I don't want buses up my place over here. I don't want people coming into my place like it's a circus. I have to drive in and out. I don't want to have to wait on that. It's like it's a circus already.
So, and right there, one at the top. Right there. Yes.
I'm in the Upper Leilani, and so these roads, these private roads that are being spoken of in this conversation, like are part of this a different kind of a organization. Who would benefit from everybody in Leilani?
Everybody.
Yes.
Because we're just kind of just always been kind of like Upper Leilani and Lower
Yeah,
Leilani.
we're trying to stop that now. But this event is happening. But you know.
1 and 2.
Yeah. Section 1 is where we live. Section 2 is below us. It has the paved road. And we can combine those by changing the CPR.
Not with my backing.
I understand this is a contentious issue. Unfortunately, we live here, and I live here only 5 years, but I really understand what it means to respect somebody, to hear somebody, to listen, and to really create the sense that we're in this all together, that no one's here out to get you. To speak your piece and let us have a conversation. That's all we're asking for, is to have a conversation with different points of view spoken, and people respected. Some people are concerned about the commercialization of Leilani. Some people see it as a good, some people don't. But at least to have a conversation so we can learn from each other. That's what I'm asking for.
Hawaiians say don't commercialize.
Sir, you spoke. We heard you. We respected you.
That's what they're doing.
We heard you. Can someone else speak who has not yet spoken?
Okay, my turn. My turn. First of all, I want to see a business plan. Where's the bucks coming from? It doesn't get started without some front money. Where's that coming from? How have you figured out how much? Second, where's the home base of this going to be? Where's the official registration office going to be? If it's in Leilani Estates, you're dead. You cannot have a non-agricultural business in an agriculturally zoned area.
What about the cell tower? That's a commercial agreement between LCA and the
Yes, but there is an exception to that one. Yes, which is included in the bylaws.
So I have a real different take on it. All that I want is for Fisher 8 to stop. If it stopped while we're at this meeting, our wish will have come true. If Fisher 8 stops, there's probably not going to be nearly as much interest in tourism. If Fisher 8 doesn't stop, I have a really different feeling about it, which is, I don't know how the hell I feel right now. I've talked to a bunch of people, and the last thing in the world for me right now that I could do is to think about opening Leilani to tourism. I don't know why. I can't even make a good logical argument about it. I just feel like our wounds are so raw right now, and our loss is so... hang on a second, put your hand down a second. And our loss is so new and our wounds are so raw that immediately changing it to this doesn't feel right to me, and I can't tell you exactly why.
Hi. You had 2 questions, correct?
Me?
He did.
Oh.
Your first question was, do we have a business plan? This is a preliminary proposal based on what you people want, what we hear from you. What will work, what won't. Once we know whether, if everybody in everybody in this room raised their hand and said, no, I don't want tourism in there, this would probably end right now. But ultimately, as he said, we don't know if Fisher 8 is going to stop or not. And I'll tell you this, if it does stop, maybe the tourists aren't going to come see it, but everybody on this island is going to take a car and go down Leilani Avenue.
They have that right to. Leilani's county road.
Exactly. So we're talking about 1 to 2 tour buses. That's 1 bus an hour, 1 little tiny van with 50 people in it. They go down to Leilani, they get out, they look at the lava, they get back in, they go home. They stop in Pahoa Town to help our local economy. But regardless of all that, this still needs the blessing of the local Hawaiian community. So if they say no, it's no. Things don't happen overnight. This is just a preliminary meeting to see how people feel, to give people the idea. I want Fisher 8 to stop. When I was approached with this idea, my gut instinct, my first instinct screamed, no, Fisher 8's going to stop tomorrow. Every morning I wake up and I say, today's the day, Fisher 8's going to stop. And my first instinct would be to go home and to look at my INA and to start planting things. Because I've been there and I've seen what it is, and it wasn't what it was. But it's still my little hale, right? And I just want to go home and take care of my INA.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's right.
But in the interim, you know, I realize that maybe we do make Leilani a gated community. Maybe you know, maybe this goes on for years. If it does, what do you think the government's going to do? They're going to take it all. We don't know. But this is just a preliminary proposal. This is a question and answer session. We're going to look at this later, and we're glad. We're glad for your concerns and your questions. If this isn't a good idea, it'll become apparent that it's not a good idea. I'd rather have something like this than the county to come in and say, look, we own this road. We've determined, our geologists, and we've spent all your taxpayer money on the fact that we determined that the bottom of Leilani Avenue is a great place to generate some revenue. Then they control it, and then they take the funds, and we have no say in it.
As long as they stay within the right of way.
I heard somebody else say they didn't receive any benefits from the government. I don't know if that's the government's, their job to do that. But if we can help ourselves and help the surrounding community, I don't see a downside to that.
How much kickback would you estimate each Leilani residents get, including your place that's cut off?
We don't have that information now. I know, but yes, we will.
I can tell you that I talked to Dan Berman with Hawaii Horse and Trail, and he's got 20 or 30 vans ready to go. I presented to him an idea of just staying on Leilani Avenue down to the very bottom. That's it. This was kind of written a little off. There's a lot in here I don't agree with. I agree with tourism in Leilani. The proceeds go towards royalties for every single lot owner in the neighborhood. Everybody bought a lot. I can't help what somebody built. Their house is overbuilt and mine's underbuilt or whatever. But what we all have in common is we all own land in Leilani Estates. The proceeds could be split up and everybody get royalty checks. That's a cut and dry. After operating expenses, that's it. But one thing I gotta say is, how many people here live in the top part of the neighborhood or still have a house standing? How many people lost a house?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know, honestly, before this, half of you guys, I didn't know before this. Okay. All my neighbors are gone. You're making decisions without them. You're not representing everybody in Leilani Estates by this meeting, or any of the members, okay? And we can't help that, but I'm just saying that it sounds like the people that have houses don't want it, and the people that lost everything are are open to that idea, okay? I mean, I know there are some people that lost that don't want it, I get it, but you know what? The thing is this is more lucrative than what you think, and there is a lot of royalties that can go to everybody. It can help people recover. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, hold on. Let me address what he's talking about. Then you can talk, and you can talk. We're free here. This is a preliminary thought, right? Michael took it to the governor's office. The governor's office said, the mayor's office. And then they looked at it and said, we'll look at it and get back to you. That's all that's happened. There's nothing real going on here. We're trying to figure out, we're not going to go to the work of making a business plan, of contacting tour groups, of contacting the Hawaiian community, or contacting all of the residents of Leilani until we had something solid to present. This was brought to this group just to do this. Get the opposition, get the people in favor. We now know that more than 50% are opposed to this, so this may be a futile exercise. But that's real. But if we don't propose it, the tour buses are going to start coming in. Like he said, he's got 20 tour buses waiting for that barricade to come down. Yeah, and so it's a matter. So we're going to be inundated by them, and Leilani Estates is going to have to pass rules regulation to keep them on Leilani streets. And that's going to be really hard to do, right? So we're just trying to jump the gun to get it so we can actually talk about it.
Okay, guys, so I feel like it's really important to remember that Pele's coming. I know some of you might not believe in Pele, but Pele's around. And she's here to let us know that we don't own anything. The planet Earth is here to let us know we don't own anything. We're here to caretake. And she's here to let us know that big time. And there's a lot of people that have been making a lot of money in Puna. And a lot of the houses that got covered were people making a lot of money in Puna. And this is not about us making a lot of money in Puna. It's about going the Hawaiian way where we're like, oh, here comes Tutu Pele. She's here to clean things up. We need to step back, let her be here, and then come back and see how we can be here after if we really truly love Puna. That's those of us that live in Puna, that's who we are. We come back after Tutu Pele visits, and she will be leaving. She is not coming here forever. Leilani is not going to be a lava flow forever. It's going to be sooner than later. Tutu Pele is going to leave. And then we will all be here together and we'll help each other rebuild. And it'll be different. But we're not here to make a lot of money. And I have to say something about Hawaii Forest and Trail. I've been a tour guide here for 30 years. I worked for one of the we were the eco tour companies in Hawaii. There were only 2 of us. Hawaii Forest and Trail came into Hawaii. He called my boss and he's like, you better sell to me now because I'm taking over your whole business. And my friend and me were humble tour guides. He lived in Hawaii, I lived in Puna. And he said, what do you mean you're going to take over the tour business? He's like, I'm going to take over all of Hawaii. So just sell it to me now. And he's like, excuse me, thank you for your offer. No, thank you. And he called me. So this guy right here, Hawaii Forest and Trail, I'm sorry. That's not about it. So anyway, my point is, remember, that we're here taking care of Leilani. We're here taking care of Leilani. That's our job, is to take care of Leilani and to come back. If we feel like we need to still be here to take care of Leilani after Pele leaves. That's my kuleana.
Okay, here's a little bit of reality. If these tour buses come in and they make $100,000 a year, a month, beg your pardon, right? And you've in this little proposal thing here, you're saying a third, and third. What each resident will get if you divide it amongst the residents of Leilani is $13. Okay, $13. I'll give you $13 to keep these buggers out.
And I did the math and came up with 9 because the description was the vans have to be small vans able to turn around. So I'm figuring they're probably 10 passenger vans, 50 per day, $100 a trip, a 50 grand generator divided by 3 is $16,000, and so I came up with $8 a head.
I think the math's all wrong. On this right here, I think the math is all wrong.
Has someone who's not yet spoken, please raise your hand. You have not spoken.
First of all, I appreciate you guys putting something together. There is an economic opportunity here. Somebody will take advantage of it. If there is a way that we could be part of it, and getting a check for $9, of course we don't want that. But we could have perhaps better facilities for the kids. We could have, other things. But the idea is, this is an economic opportunity. Somebody will take advantage of it. I was part of one in San Luis Obispo that started a farmer's market, and most of the merchants did not want it, and now they couldn't live without it. So I think just starting something and the dialogue, and I agree, but we're not going to keep people out. If that flow continues, people will come to see it. Whether they're in a bus, van, or a car.
Here's my supposition is I heard twice here about what each resident of Leilani would get, and I kind of look at a broader picture. It's still Pahoa as well. Not one person's really asked where are the people going to go in Pahoa. What's your favorite store in Pahoa? how is your friend that owns a business in Pahoa doing? This affects all of Lower Puna. There's a lot of help that could be offered if we make a little bit of effort. If 1 or 2 tour buses can come in and the money stays here and it benefits somebody here, it might be worth it. I think it's way better than having tour buses from Kona come and via the county force their way into Leilani and then drive back right over to Kona. And we're still here. This is just a proposal. Maybe it opened your mind to something, maybe it closed it to something.
We have to clean up Pahoa first before tourists want to be there.
You know, I shop in Pahoa.
I know, but you know, those streets, it's not safe.
That's back there.
Thank you. And that.
Great.
I want to thank you all for your ideas in bringing all of this up, because it is an issue that, you know, Lower Puna are all facing, and even Upper Puna and Southside, South Point, you know, we're all going through devastation in our lives and changes and movements and adjustments. And for me, I'm very proud to be a resident of Leilani because of their top priority, which is safety. And I believe in safety. Even my home being right there on the barrier on Pomaikai, I believe in safety. And every day I have to go down there just to make sure that people are not in my property. So I'm very concerned about safety. I hear you talk about listening to the Native Hawaiians, which I think is very important, because we will tell you the story about what's flowing, and we have names for each one of them that most of you are familiar with. And this is a very aggressive flow with many gods and goddesses as part of it, and the elements that we are capable of communicating with. So for our culture, it really is about paying attention, listening, observing, and knowing that the people that are providing the safety, I mean, I had some harass me myself on my property. So, you know, it's really listening, and, you know, they're coming across too many people here, too many people, because if she overflows, you're not going to be able to get away. And you won't be able to get all the people in the bus to get away. So it's really important that you take into account the Kapunas who have lived here all their lives, who have been through many, many flows. And it's only for your own safety. I hear money talk, a lot of it tonight. And I'm surprised that there's a division in Leilani, because the goal of humanity is to unite. And I know that each one of us have different ideas surrounding this issue of the natural flow of life, because we're all going through it, and none of us are a part of it, that we are all of it. So consider all of your ideas in your movement forward. If it is necessary to take control, because none of us have control, and we know how the government moves in and out of things, and sometimes we don't trust them and the whole system of things. But we have to remember that we are in Hawaii. This is the land of the sacred breath and the living entities that surrounds us, that keeps us safe. Nobody's been killed yet. She takes her time to let you know when to go. I left on the first siren because I'm Akamai, smart. I'm not going to wait till it comes and I got to move my animals and everything. I actually just packed for the weekend when I evacuated, not knowing that it might be a lifetime for now, but lifetimes are many, short, long. So I want to thank each one of you for bringing up the ideas on how, as a community of Leilani, managing the flow of people coming in and out, contributing to the health and wellness and the economic growth of Leilani. So I support your ideas. Mahalo.
Yeah, this is potentially tangential. Forgetting about whether this is a good idea or not, this whole tourism thing, I think that the perception in the eyes of county civil defense that the people down here in Leilani want to make a business of this, at the same time asking permission to be part of our destiny. It maybe have some unexpected consequences that we're not really thinking about, the way it's being perceived.
Yeah, the county actually asked for proposals for lava beam.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just finish.
It was in the paper. They wanted a proposal for all of you to do it.
Okay, all
I
right, so
thought we could do it rather than have Robert, Hawaii do it. But obviously, we're gonna have a hard fight to get it.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah. Doctor? Oh, over there.
I'm a resident of Upper Leilani and hurting along with everybody. I think that going forward, we have to look at access to Leilani. We've kind of got a field of dreams. We've got an attractive nuisance in our yard. And people are going to come. They're going to come, speaking of the field of dreams, where that is built, people still come years and years and years after the movie. If you've been to the transfer station, you see people going up on the lava there to take pictures. So we need to find a way to control that for our personal safety and well-being and our mental health, but also we need to find a way to allow people to see it and to benefit from it. The proposal for a gate, I think, is a great idea. Instead of all of us getting $9 for letting these people come in, let's use that to fund the gate and to man the gate. And we control the hordes of people, and instead of starting a business with all the associated headaches, give licensing fees to the tour groups and limit the number of tours that can come in. And we achieve something that will be a benefit to us all without exposing us to the liabilities, the management problems, the cost, everything associated with starting a business in a non-business zone. But somehow we will have to find a way to manage how many people can come into our home neighborhood, because I don't really want to use it, but I think of cockroaches, that we're going to be swarmed, As soon as the National Guard leaves, it's going to be wall-to-wall traffic in Leilani, and we need to find a way to prevent that from ruining our lives.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone who has not spoken yet? Everyone has said something? Because I would like to, there's no closure here tonight. And we got a lot of good feedback, a lot of ideas. And I think Steve was correct. It's not like this is far from being a done deal. But I really appreciate, particularly heard at the end, the sense of people talking with each other, not against each other. And I found that very encouraging. Very, very encouraging. So thank you. I would like to thank this man here, Mac. Thank you. And Mike Hale, who's certainly been the engine force behind this, and Steve Sparks. It's not easy to get up here. It's not easy to spend time. He's not getting money for this. But this group of people have taken the initiative because they have Leilani in their heart. Trust me on that. And we'll work together. We'll continue this conversation. Just thank you very much.
Mahalo.
So I said it's now 20 to 8, and I will definitely end this meeting at 8 o'clock. And I would like to use the rest of this time to get your thoughts about what you want to be here discussed going forward. That is not now on the table. So what are some of your concerns that you want to make all of us aware of to go forward? Sir, go ahead. When you get a mic, stand up, please, and state your name.
My name is Patty Daly. I live in Upper Leilani. Essen's where we have access to our subdivision, and I've been down to the bottom of the road to look at Lavo. I saw you there just moments ago, and we were ushered away, a peaceful assembly of residents at the bottom of the road, talking just like we are now, ushered away. I had a problem with that. I called civil defense. I talked with the director of civil defense and said, well, where is the boundary? Like, where is the off limits? It is east of Pomokai, not west. So really, we are within bounds to be in that area. Essentially, the police officers have been telling us that our placards get us home. In other words, we're under house arrest.
Yeah. So what you're asking for, Patty, is clarity of our freedom of movement within Leilani. Am I correct?
Beyond that, and be able to have friends. I mean, a guests. Now,
Right.
now
Thank
really,
you. Yes.
now really, theoretically, I know somebody who lives in Paradise Park, and just like she invested in a nice little SUV, and I see her driving around tourists in and out of our subdivision, been making a lot of money. Even like dropping them off down to the hub to get some free food. It's part of the cultural experience. Not even a Leilani resident. Now, I don't know how this keeps going on. People are making money. It was mentioned earlier that tour buses are getting in. Now, why is it that we, as residents, are not able to have access to all of our roads, including Leilani Avenue, which is a legal county street? Now, everybody's talking about how dangerous it is, yet it's not any more qualifiably, it's not any more dangerous than Seaview, Black Sands, Kelly's hair is falling, the SO2 is high. Now, this restriction of our movement is really, it's also, it goes...
So I need a clarification. Are you asking for that you want freedom of movement beyond the barricades? Is that what you're saying? Oh, so freedom of movement from the barricades
with guests.
west.
So therefore, with my guests of choice, I should be able to come over there and hang out and watch the
Right.
lava.
Thank you.
And
Right. So
therefore
I think I'm trying to say I get it. I think we all get it here.
No, I think that we could all be our tour guides and do this if we really wanted to. We could bring people in because there's no real need for any of this lockdown security. Within our own, we can ride our bikes, we can do all these things, but we can't bring guests to the little area to see it. Now, why can't we bring a guest?
Well, I for one have brought guests in. I assume other people here have brought guests in. The problem is it's episodic, or it's not a standard uniform policy, and I will work to make it that way.
Well, we should be able to bring whoever we want in there within reason because it's west of Pomokai. And there's no civil defense. I called up and they couldn't give me what they couldn't. I called the LNR, civil defense. They can't give me a straight answer on it.
Okay, all right. So Patty, I got your question. I want other people to talk, and I will try to get you a clearer response.
It's not illegal.
I agree with you.
Robert, Patty has a good point.
Go ahead, Patty.
I just wanted to find out if we each, all the residents brought in friends and took them down there, we would have hundreds of people standing in front of, what was that lady's house down on Pomokai? It would be a circus, I think.
Next person who'd like to have a comment. Next person. Are we done? Here, over here. Yes.
I personally spend a lot of time standing at the barricades because for me it's a closure, healing experience, and so on and so forth. I meet a lot of people down there and we talk story. That also helps to heal our hearts. I have not seen hordes of people there that were brought in. I have not seen huge groups of people. Most people look at it for 5 minutes or so, talk a little bit to each other, and carry on and leave.
Yes.
I don't think it's a problem at all for us to bring in family or friends to have a little bit of a look. I think the idea that there are going to be hundreds of people on traffic jams is false. It hasn't happened yet, and I don't think it's going to happen for the reason that we live there and we bring in friends and family. We're not going to bring in hundreds of people.
Right. Right. Our next person,
I think that the annual
microphone please.
I think that the annual number of people that went to Kilauea before was about 4 million. 4 million people come on this island to go to Kilauea. Now, if you think that you're going to stop tourism, let's get real. This is going to happen if fisher rate continues, and they're saying for years now. And anybody who wants to predict what's going to happen with a volcano, volcanologists say they're lying. So we don't know, but it's going to happen. Tourism is what fuels this economy.
Okay, thank you. Back there.
I just want to change the focus just a little bit. So, how many people in here are in the restricted area? Okay.
By restricted, you mean mandatory?
Mandatory evacuation. Okay, so I have an issue with the CERT team that's in charge because civil defense is overtaxed, so they let the volunteer CERT team to be in charge of the barricade there. And I think that's great that, they're at least getting someone, they're allowing us to go there and retrieve our belongings. However, I have a problem when you go there and they change the rules suddenly. Like,
Can you give me an example of that?
Okay. So, there's many examples. So
Well, just one.
Well, I went there on Friday. They said, do you allow your stuff out? You better get your stuff out soon because they're shutting it down. You're not going to be able to come in until on Monday morning. Like, oh, really? Who said that? Well, we just, because they're going to shut it down. Okay, well, I want to know who. Was it the mayor? No. Was it civil defense? No. Okay, so, all right, well, we have until Monday then. We have a lot of stuff to get out. We go there, we're already on an emotional roller coaster, right? Because you only have a certain amount of time. You're not allowed in, you are allowed in. Now you have to have an appointment, but they never call you back. So then we find out, oh, we have to show up there at a certain time, and they'll just let you in. Okay, well, we're on that. So then we show up there at a certain time to get in. Then they're like, well, you have until Monday. So then Saturday, I post on Facebook, if you're a Leilani resident, be careful because you might want to get your things out. They're saying they're going to shut it down on Monday.
So I have a question for you.
So Saturday I go in and I said, so ma'am, you said that we weren't going to be able to come in after Monday. I didn't hear you say that this time. Oh, I never said that. I said, well, I heard that from your mouth. I heard that from your mouth. And she said, oh, well, I said that because there were too many people going in and then coming back out with empty vehicles. And this isn't for that. This is to go in and get your stuff out. And people aren't doing that, and that's not what this is for.
All right, so I'll help you, okay? I just to respond to that. I'm sorry you had that experience. I know Sharon and Dennis well in terms of, because I go through that gate. And the procedure is you call, don't expect them to call you back. Just tell them when you're going to go. They're not open on Saturday. They're closed Wednesday and Saturday.
So no, this is new from the last time I went in. So
Okay. No, but please, I wish you would believe me about this. Okay, I'm trying to give you some good news. You have 2 people down there who are looking out for us. Okay.
I appreciate that.
Okay, and all I'm saying to you is that you have their phone number.
Yes.
Good. Always call it. Tell them any day except for Wednesday and Saturday, 9, 11, 103, when you want to go. I have never gone in there to take stuff out. They know that. And we're there to take care of our homes. And I think many people who go into the mandatory evacuation. So I don't want to be rumors being spread from the air.
I want to back it up and have Jamie, Dayton, and Christine experience the same.
It's not a rumor. There was the safety briefing. Everybody that was in there that time.
The safety briefing?
Yes.
Well, then when I see them tomorrow.
No, this was like 2 weeks ago. Sharon and Dennis have been very gracious. They understand I need to go in my home. They understand I only have a storage unit that holds so much. They understand that that's a closure for me, and now they are treating us differently. They have they have seen me go in and out. And I said, I'm just going to hang out this morning. And I mean, my house is beautiful. I have a 180-degree ocean view of the Malama Key forest. And, I agree with Pele, the heartbreaking thing is going, but I have no control over it. I'm a scientist to the heart, and the earth is changing. So they have been really gracious to me, and I go in, I let a call on, and if I stay 2 hours, if I stay 9 to 4, they know exactly where I am. I have their numbers. I call and let them know so they're not worried about me. And we have some of the best air quality. It feels safer down at the dead end of Malama than it does up on the upper section past Pomakai right now.
I appreciate that they're able to come. I appreciate being able to go back in. I just want to know, like, if I go there, I now we live all the way in Mountain View because we can't obviously live there. So like now we gotta drive all the way in, and then things change, and then we don't know,
Well,
and then they said you're not allowed to go in unless you're getting stuff.
Well,
but then now she can go in to see stuff. So I don't know. I just want to.
I get it. So I understand why. No,
I just want to know.
I see that. And when I go there tomorrow, I will speak to them and try to get this cleared up.
Like, is there a way to post, like, send out an email saying something's going to change, or?
Well, so far, nothing has changed. I mean, there's.
Because now can we take pictures of the lava, or do we have to go to our
Well, you
neighbor's
can only
house?
take pictures from your house.
Well, no, they told me that we can take pictures from our neighbor's house if we have permission from
Yeah,
our neighbors to be in
so,
that
or if you
house.
have your phone.
What's up with that? Wait, I got a question.
Okay.
What's up with that? You can only take pictures from your house. That's like.
Because they don't want you walking on someone else's property without permission.
Okay, that's one thing. Going on someone's property is trespass.
Yeah.
But taking a picture is you can take a picture anywhere you want.
Okay.
I mean, you can take a picture from anywhere you want, unless if you're on private property, you're on private property. That's something else. But taking a photograph, I mean, and I checked on this on the Supreme Court thing. A camera could go anywhere, and I could go, unless there's something.
Sir,
urgent
what they
right
don't
there.
want you to do, where's your home?
In Leilani.
I know that. Where in
Paul
Leilani?
Kai, where's your home?
What?
Paul Kai Street.
Okay, so they don't want you going, they want you going straight to your house.
Right.
They don't want you taking a tour around the area,
Right.
and then taking pictures. They want you,
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? Oh, right, seriously. What's the big deal? I was cruising with the New York Times
Okay.
documenting this.
Say, folks,
People had an issue.
maybe I'm a bit hard of hearing a lot of what's being said is going right
Their
behind me.
houses burning.
But the people with their feet on the ground down there are volunteers that are there to help us.
All right, great.
Nothing
Well,
grates against me more than having to ask permission to go to my home. But CD has made the rules. They have what is basically what is
carte
it?
blanche on pulling policy.
Military.
Martial law. You got
yeah.
martial law, right? So take
They
a
have turned it
picture.
into
Strict
martial law.
documentation.
And they have been given the right to do that. I do not like it, but the people on their feet on the ground are volunteers. They're trying to help us. When you go in there, you're given permission to go to your home and nowhere else. I don't like it.
Right.
But that is the fact of the matter. You cannot go wandering around.
Look,
that is the rule.
Right. So look, this is not perfect. Okay, it's not perfect. I agree with you. All right. I would like to go places I'm not going. All right. For me, the most important thing is to be able to go to my home, and I don't want us to grandstand on these particular issues. All right. I want us to move forward as a community here. Okay. And
That's all, Robert, that's all well and good, and it's true. It's also true we're not going to resolve this tonight. It's also true that the issue is not with the people on the front lines, it's with civil defense. The arbitrariness of the changes we've all experienced. The photograph thing, I heard it the first day it was going to happen. I said my civil liberties are good. And the volunteers at the front said, I'm not going to argue with you. But someone else had said, even when oppressors are nice, that doesn't make them not oppressors. So they are, I understand they're volunteers. They're also representing the civil defense onerous, unconstitutional things, which we will not resolve tonight.
Right, and so isn't...
We will not.
Right, so Andy, that's why
I'm
we're
Michael.
creating... Sorry, apologies.
But call me Joe.
Okay,
you know.
so Mike, so my frustration is...
Hey, Robert, can I...
No, I want to finish this one statement. Is these issues are not going to get resolved here. They're going to get resolved down in Hilo. With a conversation. Yes, so let's bring up issues. I want to know, for example, things that we should be talking about here.
Robert,
Okay?
can I say something about the letter?
Yeah.
So listen, the letter that I hope to get in front of the county can address every single one of these issues. They're all valid. They all have merit. You all have justifiable and legitimate gripes about the way things were handled. But us chewing each other out about this is like preaching to the choir, guys. And so what we need to do is we need to get those things. What Robert was just trying to collect was subject matter, not content. I have a subject matter. Mine's probably not resolvable. My home is still standing, so I can't even compare my loss to those of you who lost your homes. I can get into my home, so I can't compare myself to those of you who are on Moko or Pomacati and can't get in. So I have wussy griefs. My first grief that I know none of you can do anything about is I don't like the fact the way that our weather has changed horribly. And it appears like it's going to stay that way a long time. If one of you have some help with that one, I'm all over it. My second complaint is the helicopter noise.
Yes.
Can we do anything about it? Should we do anything about it? I'd like to open it as a subject of discussion at a future meeting.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I would like to finish what I was saying. Now, I go in probably once a week, once every 2 weeks. I mow my lawn. I do maintenance around the house. Get the house aired out, get the musty smell out of it. And basically try to keep the thing from falling apart from the climate and the gases. If you've got a home in there, you need to go back and you don't need to be hauling things out. We haul things back and forth. She wants more things that she wants access to. I got things I'm done using and I haul it back out there to pick up more and bring it. But we still live in that house. We have not given up our residence in that house. And we are working at trying to keep it still a home, even though we're not allowed to live in it.
Hi guys, I have one more issue and I feel like it's really important, and that is that sure enough, me and Andy totally disagree on the geothermal thing, but I do feel
Would
like...
people take that conversation outside, please?
Folks, we're still meeting.
Folks.
Sorry. Hey guys. Anyway, me and Andy totally disagree. Andy, this is for you. Me and you totally disagree on the geothermal thing. Completely disagree. But I feel like the proposal that he has made is the most important one here. We need to have access to those meetings because those guys have been keeping things secret from us from the very beginning. With the geothermal, we forced them to get that pentane out. They lied to us and told us there was no pentane there. So please, that's the most important thing. We need access to those meetings. That's what we need.
Yes. Anyone else like to say a last word? Anyone else? Tanya?
It's on the Tanya, right? Usually, let's all break at the same time.
Make sure the topic, we're talking about access for things. I know I'm hung up with not having a FEMA guy be able to come in and inspect my property. So would you put that on the list of things to discuss?
Thank you. Look, thank you all very much, and we will reconvene a week from today.
And thank you, Robert, for your management of these meetings. Very well done.